Hi, I'm Jim from Left Wing Libertarian.
And I am Anna from Beautygirlsmom.com with the microphone right in front of my head.
You will notice that I'm drinking today out of a straw. Apparently the joke that I made about going to Cowtown Rodeo for a wedding was not funny, and somebody hit me and now I drink out of a straw. So please, those of you who continue to comment, don't comment about Cowtown Rodeo anymore.
No, Beth, you can continue to comment. He's not having a wedding at Cowtown Rodeo unless he gets married again, which, when this is all said and done, he might be available to do so. But for right now, there is no wedding at Cowtown Rodeo.
For right now.
There is no wedding at Cowtown Rodeo unless one of the other children opt for Cowtown Rodeo.
Now, speaking of the other children, one of the children has made a request for the wedding. She would like to wear a tuxedo in the wedding.
We haven't told people we are planning a wedding.
It's not ours to make that announcement.
Well, but you're talking about it here on
This is all hypothetical.
Our daughter Brighid got engaged last Friday night to her boyfriend.
Wait. We didn't tell them. We have a daughter named Brighid.
Which they know. Got engaged to her boyfriend Brent last Friday. Congratulations. So we are in full wedding planning mode. So exciting.
It's giving Harper the shivers.
It's giving me the shivers.
So,
it's not fun.
Cowtown Rodeo.
Out.
But the kid likes country and western music.
Okay, I like my car. I do not want to get married in a garage. You know, we're going to do what I call Goodyear and say, I really like my car. I'm getting married. What are your catering options?
Stacks of tires.
Not going to do it.
Okay.
Not going to do it.
So, you have several friends and people you know who have recommended an establishment in Philadelphia.
Yes, I do.
So we contacted them, and we have an upcoming appointment to tour their facilities.
Yes.
And we are doing this with the bride and groom to be, or without?
Well, this is not a location that is bride approved as of the moment.
Is Cowtown Rodeo bride approved?
It is also not bride approved. The bride and groom have a place in mind.
We're not going to mention names because they're not a sponsor.
We're not going to mention names, although you're going to be mentioning the name of this location in a minute.
Because I like this one.
They have a place in mind with no backup plan. So if we go down there for our tour and something, I don't know, it doesn't look like what they expect it to look like. It turns out that it is very far for guests to get there. It's too remote. We might be scrambling for a backup plan.
Okay, so let's go back to the higher thing then. Is it my job to pay for the whole wedding? Or do I pay for a portion of this?
Okay.
And is my vote and what we do appropriate to the size of the check I write?
So this is something that we have debated, and we have even debated with
Hence
our
the straw.
We have even debated with our own child since last Friday. I'm not going to lie to you. Tears have been shed already over this wedding.
Hence the straw.
I can't even remember the question now. Whether you're responsible for the whole thing. Traditionally, the bride's family threw the wedding. But I think that was back in a day when, weddings were not as elaborate as they are now. And in a lot of cases, back when some of these traditions were established, the bride's family would chip in, and it would be more or less like a big potluck kind of thing. You know, the families and friends of the bride's family would bring food and flowers and provide for the wedding.
So the concept may have been the bride's family pays for it, but it's still a village kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think the full burden was on the bride. Or there were a lot of weddings held in people's homes, you know. So again, we've gotten to the point where weddings are way more elaborate now. There were not photo booths with props. There were not disc jockeys. That, you know, there might have been a violinist standing in the living room, you know, to process the bride in.
Well, at this wedding we're having, we've already decided that we're going to be having a live band. That's going to consist of one person on piano and one person on guitar.
No, we haven't. We're going to have a disc jockey. We haven't really discussed any other music from that point, but...
Well, we have a... Can't these kids play music at the guitar? I mean, we're sending them to lessons.
Our children do go to music lessons. They will not be ready for that kind of a debut. But anyhow...
Well, how far away is the wedding?
To keep on subject, the wedding is November of 2016, tentatively, because again, we have nothing planned.
Yes. And that's something to keep in mind. Just because you have a date you want doesn't mean it's fixed in stone. It might be...
Yes. Can you cover one topic at a time as to who pays for things? You've gone on 3 different tangents.
Well, I was already told to write the check. I've been practicing.
So basically what a lot of families do now is the bride's family pays for the bride's family and friends, the groom's family pays for their family and friends, and the other things are either the bride's family's responsibility or the couple's responsibility. And by other things, I mean flowers, photography, limousines, disc jockeys, things like that.
The gifts that get handed to the bridal party, whatever those
The
are
gifts
called.
that get handed to the bridal party. So it's not as expected anymore for the groom, for the bride's family to take on the whole burden of the wedding. Some families still do it that way.
Now,
Some people
we have
still
this
prefer to do
we
it
have
that
this
way.
attitude, and I noticed that you happen to have brides. Would your attitude be different if you had grooms? Would you expect to chip in? Or?
I have to say, Brent's family. I mean, they were very kind. They told the kids up front, what their expectations for their participation would be. His mother sent me a very nice email last night after I went to bed, offering to pay for their guests and a nice rehearsal dinner for the children. So we're very lucky in that we have part of this burden removed from our shoulders.
The groom's
Very
dad is
generous.
welcome to stop by, pick me up, go to the bar around the corner, and have beer and buffalo wings, and sit there and go,
Instead of the wedding.
Man, you're going to get soaked at this one, But that probably will never happen.
But and here's the thing:
But the women will talk.
if the bride and groom's families equally decide to pay for the wedding, they want to each have a hand in the wedding, you have to be open to their participation in the wedding planning. You also have to be mindful of what their budget limitations are. You can't go and book a $200 per person wedding, and their wedding budget does not allow that. You have to be considerate of what the other family's wedding budget is.
Okay, so-
And you can't say to them, no, we've chosen a venue that's $200 a person. You're going to have to cut your guest list. You might have to, if you insist on a specific venue, you might have to be willing to pick up the slack. You might have to say to them, okay, I understand what your budget is. We would be happy to pay the overage so that we could go to this other venue.
Okay, so that's what I was just going to say. If you're making a contribution to the total wedding budget, is that $20 bills or is that DOTC bills? Where DOTC bills have restrictions on them. Like, you can only have, I'm giving you money, but it has to be at this affair because I know the people that went there.
Well, and again, that's something that when you have both families involved, that is something that you have to consider. There might be a situation where the groom's family says, no, we'll pay for our friends and family at the reception, but you have to have the reception here because they know the facility will give them a discount. Maybe their friends or, maybe their other family members, for whatever reason, they know that they can get a discount on the guests there. So they'd like to have the wedding there because it will be easier on their budget. Or there may be people who say, very traditionally, it is the bride's family that pays for the reception. We have X amount of dollars earmarked for this wedding. We'll pay for the photography or the flowers or something else so that the burden is off of the kids, but we're not giving anything towards the catering because we feel, in the sense of tradition, that is the bride's parents' responsibility.
All right, so from those two extremes of $20 at the ATM and $20 of DOTC money, where... Like, let's take my father. My father, when we got married, his thing was, how much is it to get the big pictures done and how much is the video? I'm paying for that.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us we had to go see one person. He just said, I want you to have these two things. Mm-hmm. Tell me how much it is and I'll pay for that.
Yeah.
So he paid for, almost like a wedding registry, he paid for an item on the wedding registry list.
Yeah.
That to me was very unrestrictive and very grateful. But it was earmarked for something.
It was restricted. It was his dollars. It was important to him that we had a good photographer, a nice photo package, and specific things in that package, and that we had a nice video keepsake. He did not say, here's X amount of dollars, spend it where you want it. He said, here's X amount of dollars, I want you to buy this, and this with it. Mm-hmm. So again, that was very specific. He didn't say, add a chocolate fountain to the reception or add an extra half hour, of the open bar for the reception. I want this. I want you to have, it's basically my gift to you is the photography for your wedding. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying for, the bridal party to have matching shoes. I'm not paying for the groomsmen to have, a night on the town. I am specifically giving you a gift of all of the photo and videography needs for your wedding.
So really, what makes that different from Jackson versus Dotsy money is the tone and the intention.
Well, and when he says Dotsy money, we've had,
Anybody who's watching this knows what Dotsy money is because they follow you on Facebook.
Most of you know.
Yeah, they know. They know
His
what Dotsy
mother's
money.
very specific with her gifts. She's very
Obnoxiously restrictive, and it comes with a price that it will haunt you for years afterwards.
There's
no such
always
thing
a
as a gift.
stipulation with a gift that you receive from his mother. And there have been instances where she will say, not I will give you $100, I will give you $100 to buy this. So I don't think that what your father did was necessarily different than the way your mother did it. I think the way it was phrased, here is my gift to you, the money that you need to pay the photographer and the videographer. And that was definitely something that we needed. So I don't know if we had turned around and said, that's very generous. How about if we don't do video because we're only going to watch it once a year for the next 25 years? Instead of doing that, how about if we use it for this? We didn't push him on that. We really wanted the photography and the videography. And it was something that, we could have afforded.
And I hadn't thought of the big giant pictures.
Yeah, we could have afforded.
But they've been a focal point of our house for 25 years.
Else. Yeah, we love those pictures.
Yeah.
So it was a very thoughtful gift, and it was definitely something that we needed to complete
Okay, well,
our wedding.
there's a difference, though. He has never come to the house before he passed away and said, I paid for those. Whereas a Dotsy move would have pointed to them at a party and said, I bought those.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic here. Let's go back to the thing.
Yeah.
So, Cowtown. I bring up Cowtown because, not that we're seriously going to go there, but it is an option. But because, consider all types of venues. I mean, you never know what you're going to find. So.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You should not only consider all types of venues, but consider all the venue packages. Because you could go to Cowtown and find that they have some beautiful rustic barn there that you really love. But the barn to rent is $5,000 and you haven't gotten any food yet, and there's no decorations, so now you've got to rent tables and chairs. So you want to make sure when you're looking at your venue that you're comparing apples to apples. We live in New Jersey. There are a ton of wedding venues in this immediate area without even crossing the bridge into Philadelphia. Yeah. We have huge ballrooms, we have fire halls. But everybody is different in what they include. Some is just a rental fee for the room. Some require to use caterers that are approved by their facility because they've worked with them and know that the place won't be, trashed up by the caterers. So you want to look at, does it include the open bar? Are you going to be responsible for bringing in your own liquor? There are a lot of things to consider when you are looking at your wedding venues, and you want to compare apples to apples. So do a spreadsheet or do a checklist of the things you want at your wedding. Do you want a wedding cake there? Yes, I do. Some caterers include it, some don't. Do you want...
Well, hold on. Not only do they include it, but are they known to be a good baker?
Yeah, is it a baker that you're familiar with? Can you sample the cakes? I also, and this might be a little bit off topic.
You're allowed to get off topic.
I'm allowed to get off topic. When you go to your venue, most of the venues will allow you to taste their food after you've already booked them. So make sure you're going to venues or choosing caterers that have a reputation for the type and the quality of food that you like, because you may not get to taste it until a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks before your wedding. It's too late then to rebook something else. If you don't like the food once you taste it, you're kind of stuck in a lot of instances. I don't know why places do that. Caterers should let you taste their food.
The place where we had our wedding invited us to come back as soon as we booked it in advance,
we booked it,
and told us to come here and watch an affair
and see the wedding and stuff like that.
They said, look, we'll put you in the back. You can see how we do everything, and
Yes.
you'll know when we fine tune the schedule. And we went into it very informed, except for the stuffed grape leaves.
Ugh, nasty. But yeah, definitely, keep that in mind. You may not get to taste the food of the venue that you've selected or the caterer you've selected until after you have already booked them. Now, I went with a girlfriend who just celebrated a wedding anniversary when she was looking at venues. We went to one venue who I would not use this venue only because of the location, and I think the size is a little bit off for what we're looking for. When we went for our appointment to evaluate them as a potential caterer for her wedding, they brought us into the ballroom where her wedding would have taken place. They had a table set up, a small table for two. set up exactly the way the sweetheart table would be set up for the bride and groom the day of the wedding. The linens, the silverware, the china, the whole thing. And they served us a wedding meal. We actually got a whole plate of the food similar to what you would have an option for your wedding. That was really nice. I can see cost prohibitive, a lot of caterers not being able to do that, and maybe that's why they don't let you taste the food until after you've booked their venue. But that was really nice. That's a caterer that I would consider going back to if it wasn't a little bit on the small side, and a little bit on the old-fashioned side compared to what Brighid and Brent are hoping to get. But
well, in terms of advertising dollars spent, that meal, which is, really, they had it on Saturday's leftover. They nuked it for you on Monday.
They might have, but I will tell you, it was Nicolosi Caterers in Woodbury. That was the nicest thing I've ever seen anybody do. And we've looked at venues before for our weddings, for my sister's wedding.
Well, not only that, but we've looked at weddings for our venues for First Holy Communion parties, baptism parties. We had baptism parties,
Sweet 16 parties.
Sweet 16
so
parties.
we are not new to the whole venue search thing.
It's
but
not.
That
It's not
was really nice.
And I think that's the thing when we talk about 25 years ago from our wedding. You've been booking events for all sorts of functions or helping other people with them in Orlando, South Florida, Jersey, Philadelphia. So we're not coming at this 25 years out of the loop. It's but it is different when you're planning your own wedding versus someone else's. Because, the pressure of the decision is on you. All right, so according to the screen that Anna has here, I'm allowed to talk. She presses the button and the light goes, Jim, shut up. And so, is it better to go to a place that looks beautiful or a place that has good food?
I think good food is your primary.
Obviously, if you can get both. But if you had to choose between one or the other.
But if there's something like that they have really, really good food and people will rave about your food for, long after your wedding, it's okay if they have peach carpeting or mauve wallpaper or something that really doesn't fit. I would rather go to a wedding where the food is really good. I cannot really tell you what most venues look like. We've been to weddings, lots of weddings. I more remember the food and the party than what
and the dancing and the good time
like.
and which again, your DJ or your band MC and all that has a lot more to do with the event.
Yeah.
Size of the dance floor for enough people that are going to be there dancing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Full bar, open bar, top shelf, well water. What?
So this goes to what you can afford. In my family, it was...
No, hold on. This does not go to what you can afford. You can have top-notch shelf bar for 30 minutes. Or you could have cheapo drinks and Kool-Aid for 2 hours. It's which is more important?
Well, again, this goes to what you can afford. There are brides and grooms who have only beer and wine at their weddings. There are some brides and grooms, I'm going to say this right up front, and I apologize to who I offend. It is tacky to have a cash bar at your wedding. Guests are coming from who knows where. They are bringing you a gift. Give them something to drink. Do not have a cash bar at your wedding. In my family, it was always open bar. That's like, it's almost a priority right up there with food. You want people to be able to go up to the bar and get a drink. They might only have one cocktail, but you want to make sure that that cocktail is available when they go up. Our wedding, your mother had a fit because there wasn't pina colada available on the bar menu.
Well, mind you now, she has to complain about everything everywhere. So bringing her up as a complaint really isn't relevant.
That's a whole other video. Just stop. But no, you want to make sure that there is a pretty substantial bar if you can afford it. This is your party. If you invite people to your house and only give them Kool-Aid, they're probably not going to come back for a lot of parties. Do what you can afford. But if you can afford a full open bar for your guests, that is a really nice thing.
Now we have people who are going to be coming to this soiree, wedding reception event thing, who are going to be vegans.
I just want to say one other thing about the bar. There are facilities that will let you pay per drink. And if you feel like you have people coming to your wedding that are not big drinkers, but you want them to be able to have a cocktail during cocktail hour or a glass of wine during dinner, you can ask at your location whether or not they will do a per drink, sort of like your cash bar. You're paying for everybody to get a drink. So you might be able to get a caterer that will do things that way. You might be able to cut your cocktail hour down to 30 minutes if you feel like an hour is too long.
Okay. Cut the cocktail hour down. Champagne toast. Must do. Champagne when they walk in to sample and drink? I
think a champagne toast is nice. I do not like champagne. I think it's kind of a waste of money. So if you have to pay extra for it, I don't think you need to. If you want people to toast you, which they will, it's your day. They can lift whatever glass is in front of them. I know champagne is the celebration drink, and people expect, that celebratory thing.
It has the glass with the look and the color, and it sparkles in the lights.
But you don't need it. I don't think it's necessary.
So who should decide if they have it or not? If the bride doesn't like champagne, or who's the decider?
I think it comes down to your budget. If this is something that's included with your catering package, it's not like by saying to your caterer, "Oh, we don't want the champagne toast," you're going to save hundreds of dollars. You're going to save the cost of a few bottles of champagne.
Okay, wait, hold on.
But now, if it's money you don't have to spend, don't spend it.
Now, Eilish, what's that thing called where they, in Family Guy, where they do that, they go off to a segue to like a whole other thing? Where they talk about something else, they outtake to something? She's staring at me with this face. Come on, you're the one who studies fine arts. What is that thing called? Anyway, here's the thing. A cut scene. That's right. Here, time for a cut scene. We went to a Christmas party one year with a woman who does drink champagne.
Yes, and that's all she had.
No, she also had jars of nuts.
Jars of nuts.
Yes.
That was the whole party, was cases of champagne and huge
like
jars
3
of nuts, like from Costco or Sam's or wherever. I have something else for you.
That is a person who's going to have champagne at her wedding.
Absolutely.
Because she likes it.
Yeah, if you like champagne and you want to have it. But what I'm saying is, if it is not part of your catering package to include a champagne toast, don't feel like you have to spend the extra money for it. There are other things.
It's not a lesser event if you don't have it. No one's going to walk away and go, "Man, I had a great time dancing and the food was wonderful."
They didn't
but
have champagne.
Yeah, but they didn't have champagne.
Not going to happen. So don't worry about it.
All right, so that's the booze, the thing. Okay, appetizers.
Yes.
Appetizers are sold at Costco in boxes of like 150. You throw in the oven. We've done that at home. You can tell that those are.
You hate them.
Does anybody like them? It's not that I hate them. Does anybody like them?
I do not mind them.
How bad are tacky appetizers? I mean, or hors d'oeuvres.
So.
Because those are horsey d'oeuvres.
Okay, so hopefully you are choosing a wedding venue that does not give you the frozen boxed Costco hors d'oeuvres.
Hhow do you even ask that?
Well, I mean, you have an expectation when you go to someplace that there is a catering staff that is preparing your hors d'oeuvres. They do not, in most cases, have hors d'oeuvres that are, fried potato puffs, fried crab rangoon. I mean, you will have other options. And again, it really comes down to the quality of the caterer or what you're willing to pay for to know what they have. Now, I don't mind, and most of the weddings that we go to, you'll have like a cheese display, maybe an antipasti, with the roasted vegetables. Antipasti. With the roasted vegetables. There will be something to nibble on. I've seen that at most weddings.
And that covers people who are vegan. That covers if you have, let's say, I don't know, a rabbi coming to your house for a party and you only have ribs.
I mean, there will be something there.
No one's targeted with that statement.
And I've seen, where, butlered hors d'oeuvres, there's usually a selection of anywhere from, 3, 6, 9, depending on where you go, of the butlered hors d'oeuvres. And you get to choose from a list of what they have available. So you can adapt that list to your tastes. Now, again,
so here's how I would ask that question, because I am a tactful person. So when we order the hors d'oeuvres, like, are you baking them on site? So like we're limited to 3 trays of this, or do we need to tell you how many trays of each we want? Like, is that a tactful way to ask, hey, are you making this here, or are you just pulling it out of the freezer?
So because you're not a caterer, you don't know how many pieces per person. And there is a formula caterers use, and it's something like 5 hors d'oeuvres per person. And then it's on them to figure out, how many of the beef Wellingtons do we need? How many of the coconut shrimp do we need? They have some kind of formula that they use.
Hold on. This is a good time for a cut take here. The guy who is the manager at our local Chick-fil-A went to where?
It's going to be an hour-long
Went to where?
video.
Where did he go to school?
Johnson and Wales.
Johnson and Wales. He's the manager at the local Chick-fil-A. He knows about food prep. He knows about how to get stuff set out. These things you're talking about are not really things for people to guess at. I mean, it requires a bit of experience, science, how people
And I have to say, I would think most people, when they go and they choose their caterer, and the caterer says, okay, now choose 5 of these hors d'oeuvres, they're not going to stop and think, wait a minute, are you getting these out of the box from Costco? But, I mean, feel free to ask your caterer, do you make these fresh the day of my wedding, or are they coming from your freezer, out of a box, whatever? Again, not to take away from people who...
It's got to be a tactful way to ask it.
Not to take away from people whose wedding budget only affords them the Costco sampler of hors d'oeuvres. I like them. You don't like them because you feel like you can't taste any difference between all of them.
I feel like they're all the same. I feel like they're all the same.
You feel like they're all the same. I don't mind them at all. I think they're perfectly fine. We've had them for numerous parties.
I have worked for a catering outfit. The catering outfit did most of its cooking on Thursdays and Fridays for Saturday parties. But these were things that they had recipes for decades of experience that they knew to do as much prep as they could and then stop it at that stage and put it in the refrigerator, and then it went to the oven.
Well, and that's what you hope your caterer is doing. You hope that your caterer is
not cooking it a month earlier.
Yeah, you hope that your caterer is preparing your hors d'oeuvres for your wedding. They are not mass producing bacon wrapped scallops and just pulling out from the freezer however many they need for your day.
Okay, third cutscene of the day.
Fresh.
Why is the pub the best steakhouse in South Jersey?
I don't know why.
Because it's so busy and so crowded, there is nothing left over in that place.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting is a fresh steak, a fresh piece of fish being thrown on the grill, cooked out there on that big grill. Because, I mean, and I guess that's the thing with a caterer. You have to go to a caterer that's successful to ensure that there's such a high turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch all those Alton Brown shows, isn't that the nature of the food that's junky and left over? The place is running slow? And they don't. I mean, they don't throw the bad food away because they're trying to pinch pennies.
You mean the Gordon Ramsay show?
Is that who it is?
The Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah, whichever one.
Well, yeah, and that is definitely something to think about.
But doesn't that apply to catering also? I mean,
I would think it does to an extent. But you also have caterers. You have caterers that do it as a part-time job. And don't really seriously go out after big weddings. And if you happen to book them for your wedding, you know that you're getting everything fresh because they don't have a freezer full.
Well, wait, we don't want to knock them because the lady that we knew in Blackwood did that. I mean,
she only worked weekends. She did only a few affairs. It wasn't like she was doing huge weddings all day Saturday and all day Sunday. She did a lot of off-premises catering.
But she would tell you that, look, I can't take your order because I'm already busy and I don't freeze food. I don't cook stuff ahead of time. I make it fresh and I only make so much.
Some of the small caterers that you go to, they may not be busy, but that also might be a good thing because they're only doing your wedding. They don't have food in the freezer from a month ago or from another wedding. You know that the food they buy for your day is fresh.
So really, I guess it comes down to not the smallest or the largest caterer. It comes down to getting the one that's going to do the best for you and your affair.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about the food, we talked about the booze, we talked about champagne, we talked about the cake. That's it, right? That's the whole affair?
Is that the whole affair?
Well, the look. You have to have a style that matches your style.
Well, again, and we said that was secondary to making sure that the food was good. But again, there's so many venues available in most locations. We live in Jersey. We have all, Philadelphia hotels, New Jersey hotels, fire halls, banquet halls, facilities that were built specifically to have, huge weddings. There's a place in Cinnaminson that will hold 4 or 5 weddings a day. That when you walk into their hall, you're going to have to follow the signs to the wedding that you want to go to because they have multiple ballrooms. So,
and there are people who will love that because not only are you hearing the crowd and the enjoyment in your own party, but there's that background boom, boom, people dancing the next one over. Excuse me, adds to the. I mean, you want to go to a place that's lively and full of fun.
You do. But again, the decor and stuff should be secondary to your food. You don't want to go someplace dirty or really run down looking. But you want to make sure that you're...
That's a given. You do not book this online. You see online what's available. You have to go in person and check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so last question then. Can you go without the kids? Is it up to... I'm the one writing the check. Does that mean it's 100% my choice? And by that, I mean it's 100% yours. I just shut up and write the check.
It is not 100% the parents' choice. I think if the parents are paying any portion of the wedding that is significant, if your parents are only paying for flowers or only paying for photography...
At this point, should you be looking at the camera going like this?
If your parents have given you money for a specific thing, like photography or, limos or whatever, they may not have as much to say about your venue. If, however, your parents are paying for the bulk of the reception, you have to consider what some of their wishes are. These are your parents. I know from my standpoint, I have pushed for certain venues that Brighid is not interested in looking at. I'm not doing it out of my own agenda. I'm doing it because I want her to have the most spectacular day that we can afford to give her. These are memories that she will have, You know, we're married almost 25 years. These are memories she will have for a lifetime. So I want to make sure that they're good memories, that she doesn't sit back and say, you know, half the people got sick from eating the scallops because they were leftover scallops from another wedding. I don't want her to say there wasn't enough room for dancing, or that the venue was too dark or it was too dingy. I want this to be a spectacular day. As the parents of the bride and groom, your voices should be heard. Definitely consider the vibe that your kids want for their wedding. It is their special day. You don't want to go totally contrary to what they want. But again, consider what your parents want. It's their money that's paying for.
Well, that's why I
all of this
suggest
affair.
Cowtown, because she likes country western music. But the other part of Cowtown
We're
is,
not going to Cowtown.
I will tell you though, I did look into it. Cowtown has those buckets of corn on the cob, sitting in buckets of hot butter, and they set up the salt and pepper bar.
That'll be great, dripping down the front of everybody's wedding gowns. And
No, because they'll be wearing their 10-gallon hats and their chambray shirts with their big belt buckles.
I am Anna from Beautygirlsmom.com. If you'd like to follow along as we plan this wedding and see who survives from week to week, please tune in and subscribe wherever you see the button on your screen.
We'll see you real soon with my straw.